Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signorn. Actor Matthew McConaughey is out there promoting his new book, Greenlights. He's been on various podcasts talking about some of my favorite subjects, from cancel culture to being aggressively centric, as well as the hypocrisy in Hollywood, a lot of my favorite stuff. So I thought, let's gather some of his best clips of his appearances and share them with you, offer some commentary. So first up, I want to share this clip. I just found him doing an interview with Time 100 Talks, where he really does get to sort of what divides us. He's talking about, obviously, there's a clear divide in this country politically, but he gets to this fascinating part at the end about how we can't have unity without confrontation. This really is, without really saying it exactly, this is being against cancel culture. This is exactly what I believe. You can't just remove people from society. You have to actually have conversations with them. He says it much more eloquently. Let's hear it.
I write in the book, you can't have unity without confrontation. So, and I believe that. And I would argue that in many ways today, we don't even have true confrontation. Because I would argue that I think to have true confrontation, you have to at least validate and legitimize the opposition's point of view, even if you disagree with it. But we're in a spot now where we don't even validate it. We make that person, you disagree with me, I make you persona non grata. You are illegitimate, you're evil, you're done. You should disappear. You do not count. That's not true confrontation. Therefore, that's not going to lead to any kind of unifying of people.
Bravo. I mean, it's quick, concise, but gets to the point. If we can't have conversation with the other side, what are we doing? We have to be able to have conversation with the other side. And he's already being quoted as being awful things, already labeling him far-leaning centrist because he's obviously not condemning Trump. So I want to break down more specifically what he did when he gets into the politics of it all, because he did appearance on Russell Brand slamming the Hollywood Hypocrites during the appearance. So I've clipped 4 pieces that I'm going to break down for you here. Let's start with this first one about being aggressively centric, he says. He's like, I dare you. That's the real thing. Let's be aggressively centric. And he talks about this idea.
I'll meet you in the middle. I actually think that is more of a dare right now than it's ever been. Somebody said to me the other day, oh yeah, meet you in the middle. You know it's in the middle of the road, McConaughey, yellow lines and dead armadillos. I said, let me tell you something, bud. I said, I'm walking down the yellow line right now, and the armadillos are running free, having a great time. I said, you know why? I said, the other 2 vehicles on either side of the political aisle are so far apart, their tires aren't even on the pavement anymore. It's free over here. There's plenty of room.
Plenty of room. I'm there with them. Right in that middle spot is a good place to be with the armadillos. So many people think it's fence sitting and all this other stuff, but no, it's pausing. It's pausing and not being so extreme in your viewpoints that you can sometimes see the other side. It's an amazing thing. But when I became sort of more center, I got criticized a lot by more people on the right for being, Andy doesn't have genuine viewpoints. He was wishy-washy. No, I've come to learn, no, sometimes you can have difference of opinions. Sometimes you can have opinions that are from both sides. That's the beauty of what free thought is. So I want to continue. Let's watch some more of what he says. In this next clip, he talks about how the far left can be extremely condescending. Let's hear what he says.
On the far left, there is a lot on that illiberal left that absolutely condescend, patronize, and are arrogant towards that other 50%. In our industry, when Trump was voted in 4 years ago, they were in denial that it was real. Well, now you got the right that's in denial because they're saying it's fake news. And I understand they've been fed fake news. No one knows who the hell to believe, right? So they're putting down their last bastion of defense.
So I think this is an important one because he gets a lot of guff for this one. If you even see here on this, is he really calling himself centrist and saying everyone agrees with conservative talking points, calling them basic values? Well, looks like Matt here is just a right-leaning centrist, just looking to bash the left. No, Brian, you are stuck not being able to see the other side. He didn't say any of that. He might condemn Trump on certain things, but he's keeping that sort of to himself and just acknowledging that half of the world, 50% of the country, voted a certain way. And the left absolutely is condescending to that side. Whether it's right or wrong to you, Brian and others, the reality is they did. And if we don't start to bridge that gap, that divide, to figure out, well, why? Why Trump supporters need to figure out why so many people voted for Biden, and Biden supporters need to find out why did so many vote for Trump. It's a problem of if we are so divided on either side on our extreme viewpoints, we're never going to get anything done. So it's going to be constant fighting for the rest of our lives. How is that going to help anything? Makes no sense to me. And so he goes and shares another example of sort of the far left missing the mark completely. One I share completely.
This is where the left misses it for me, just as far as being a marketeer. When you say, hey, we want to get out the vote. We want people to be able to go vote. We're going to do a campaign to let people vote. I'm like, 100%. Yes, everyone. Is there anyone who would say no to that? That's a constitutional right as an American. I'm in, yes. And then they can't help themselves. At the very end of it, they go, so we don't let those criminal bastards get back in office. You're going, whoa. You're like, no, don't say the last part. You lost 50% of your audience.
And that's why people see them as hypocrites. If you don't vote, it's always, make sure you vote. Make sure you vote for Biden or you vote Trump. It's like voting and initiatives for voting are for people to make up their own mind. That's the beauty of voting. Who doesn't agree with that? Who doesn't agree in a free and fair election? That's the way it should be. But the problem is, in Hollywood especially, it's go vote, go vote. Make sure you go out and blanket and canvas and make sure you're voting for my candidate. And if you don't vote, if you go vote and don't vote for my candidate, you are evil, is really how it comes down to, as he sort of said in the beginning thing. If you don't agree with me, you're against me, and you're evil, is what it's become. And they'll do anything they can to sort of make that, be who you are, identify you. That is your intent for everything. You're evil because you don't condemn this like I do. And again, I'm not going to get into my politics. This has nothing to do with that's the problem. It's like by me not sitting here and condemning a certain thing or supporting a certain candidate, I'm not on your side. Therefore, I'm against you. That is the wrong type of thinking. Step back and ask, well, why doesn't Andy think this way? Why doesn't half the world think this way? That's really where we need to have the conversation. And I applaud him for not being the same old Hollywood fake who just says it all to sort of please who he wants to please or please one sort of base. He's right. It is much more dangerous right now to be in that middle spot and dare both sides because you risk the wrath of them both. You risk the wrath of oh, Andy, your Republican supporters are not going to support you anymore because you didn't do this. Oh, Andy, your liberal supporters are not going to because of this. It's a spot that's actually harder to be in because you challenge them both. Because you ask them, well, wait a second, I'm with you on that one, but wait a second. That one doesn't make any sense, so I'm not with you on that one. Hey, wait, what's wrong with that? Oh, actually, that sounds good. Like, that's the reality of life. Why do we have to find and follow one set of ways? And Hollywood I've been there, guys. I've been there. I can't speak for everyone I know, but I can tell you what that bubble feels like. It is real. It is a real community of, we think this way. It is a group think like none other. And as soon as you get out of it, not because I was pushed out or anything else, but as soon as you get out of it and you really stand back on your own and you meet the world, the people outside of Los Angeles, and you interact with the working class, and you realize, they're cool, normal people. They sometimes look down on that Hollywood elite because they don't really know what's best for us. They really don't. And you're seeing it more often and more often. It's like, yes, both sides have done terrible things. That's a fact. Both sides have lied. Most politicians are full of corruption. The reality is we can't make change, and we can't bridge the gap of the current divide we live in if we don't meet in the middle. So bravo for Matthew McConaughey having the guts to put himself out there to say it. Now, what can we do, right? So he goes into this part of sort of what makes people successful. Like what is the measure for success?
What do we, especially in America, tell you you're successful for? What gets you the front seat, the best seat at the table?
Your fame and money.
Fame and money. Boom. There we go. That's 1 and 2.
So what he's talking about, and you can watch all this in its full context. I'll link the Russell Brand podcast. You can go watch that. He gives a lot of these clips from that Russell Brand Under the Skin podcast, which is a great episode. But he goes into sort of trying to figure out, well, how else can you measure? Like, what are the alternate metrics to really figure out, well, what is valuable? And McConaughey is working on figuring out the science of that number. Like figuring out, well, how can I put this into a report for people to start finally digesting? What's the crime rate? What's the divorce rate? How happy are employers in certain cities? Austin has the happiest employers. Those are the types of numbers he can add to his elevator pitch of what he's calling the value campaign. And so it's an interesting idea to sort of take this idea of, success and fame are what excel us. It's what keeps us going. It's our drive. He shares this study from 10 years ago where they asked a bunch of teenage girls, like, well, what do you want to be? And they said famous. and I think it was 10,000 13-year-old girls were asked, do you want to be famous? And they want to be famous was what they answered, as in what do they want to do? And the question, how are you going to get there? Well, they're going to make a tape. You know what kind of tape? Kim, Paris. That was sort of proof for him of just how skewed our values are. The fact that people, and now it's like YouTube and Twitch and Instagram influencers, and that's what we're sort of, our young generations are sort of seeing as like, well, I can be that. It's a pinnacle. And it's scary because it's not realistic goals. It's not realistic goals. So what is all this social media, everything going to do to us? He gets into a really sort of interesting idea too, of getting to the theme of Greenlights, which I want to end on, of what actually too many of us in society are doing.
I raise myself up momentarily. I feel my ego momentarily if I put you down. Let's just rubberneck through life and sit there and just go, yeah, look, they wrecked, yeah. That's short money. That's not ROI. That's a battery-powered green light. That ain't a solar-powered green light. That's in a little 2-volt battery. It's going to dim real quick, and you're going to need another fix. Someone else to put down, someone else to down thumb, someone else to comment, someone else to snide. It's that person. We've all done it. I've been this guy before. The person at the party who gets everyone together and tells you this great thing, little inside joke on Leslie over there or Johnny over there that they wouldn't say in front of them because it's kind of dirt. And in the moment, we all laugh our ass off because it was a great joke. But then when we walk away, we inherently lose respect for that guy. It's short money.
Short money indeed. So look, this one speaks to me. We've all been there. Whether you want to admit it or not, we've all been there. And we all take a shot at somebody else and we regret it. We regret it. Like, is that the person we want to be? Look, there's one thing of sort of calling someone out to sort of take accountability for something they've done, or I don't like what you did. But talking behind someone's back, I don't like to do that anymore. I say it, if I'm going to talk about somebody, I now say it to their face, or I say it publicly so it's clearly can be to their face. You got to sort of put yourself out there, I think, in the world we live in to be genuine. But this behind the back backstabbing, it's so prevalent in Hollywood, but it's becoming obvious everywhere. Everyone's out for number one. But this idea that he says of the short money, this battery powered green light. What does the green light mean? Let's get to this because it's a fascinating idea for what he talks about here. And the book is available on Amazon. I just bought one. Matthew, you sold me. I'll tell you how it is once I get to it. But he talks about what the green lights are. Here, I wanted to make sure I got to the point where I did have it here. Here you go, read more. He is his expert. Green lights mean go, advance, carry, on, continue. On the road, they are set up to give the flow of traffic the right of way. And when scheduled properly, more vehicles catch more green lights in succession. They say proceed. In our lives, they are affirmation of our way. They're approvals, support, praise, gifts, gas on our fire, attaboys, appetites. They're cash money, birth, springtime, health, success, joy, sustainability, innocence, and fresh starts. We love green lights. They don't interfere with our direction. They're easy. They're shoeless summer. They say yes and give us what we want. Imagine Matthew's voice on this, because I might just get the audiobook actually. I just love the way he talks. Green lights can also be disguised as yellow and red lights, a caution, a detour, a thoughtful pause, an interruption, a disagreement, indigestion, sickness and pain, a full stop, a jackknife, an intervention, failure, suffering, a slap in the face, death. We don't like yellow and red lights. They slow us down or stop our flow. They're hard. They're a shoeless winter. They say no, but sometimes give us what we need. Catching green lights is all about skill, intent, context, consideration, endurance, anticipation, resilience, speed, and discipline. We catch more green lights by simply identifying where the red lights are in our life and then change course to hit fewer of them. We can also earn green lights, engineer, and design for them. We can create more and schedule them in our future, a path of least resistance. Through force of will, hard work, and the choices we make, we can be responsible for green lights. Catching green lights is also about timing, the world's timing and ours. When we are in the zone, on the frequency, and with the flow, we can catch green lights by sheer luck because we are in the right place at the right time. Catching more of them in our future can be about an intuition, karma, and fortune. Sometimes catching green lights is about fate. Navigating the Autobahn of life is in the best way possible is about getting relative with the inevitable at the right time. The inevitability of a situation is not relative. When we accept the outcome of our given situation as inevitable, then how we choose to deal with it is relative. We either persist and continue in our present pursuit of a desired result, pivot and take a new tack to get it, or concede altogether and tally one up for fate. We push on, call an audible, or wave the white flag and live to fight another day. The secret to our satisfaction lies in which of these we choose to do when. This is the art of living. I believe everything we do in life is part of a plan. Sometimes the plan goes as intended, sometimes it doesn't. That's part of the plan. Realizing this is a green light in itself. The problems we face today eventually turn into blessings in the rearview mirror of life. In time, yesterday's red light leads us to a green light. All destruction eventually leads to construction. All death eventually leads to birth. All pain eventually leads to pleasure. In this life or the next, what goes down will come up. It's a matter of how we see the challenge in front of us and how we engage with it, persist, pivot, or concede. It's up to us, our choice every time. This is a book about how to catch more yeses in a world of no's, and how to recognize when a no might actually be a yes. This is a book about catching green lights and realizing that the yellows and reds eventually turn green. Man, I loved that. I bought it. Some of you might think, oh, that sounds too hippy-dippy for me, but no. I can tell you from my own experience, the universe has a plan for us all. And the more you can accept that, the more you realize it's all for a point. Whether it's religion, whether it's God, whatever the thing is you need to use for your own thing to believe, that's your choice. But it's all for a point. That kept me going. That's what got me back up. And I love his idea of this. Someone who's already there, who's effed up, who's made some mistakes in his life. He admits that. He realizes and sees the value of we have to start measuring the positive, measuring when a red light can turn to a green light, and how do we learn from it. He shares one other story I want to share as we wrap up in the book, which I'm going to buy because I'm now, even though I've looked into much of it, I want to read more of this. But he talks about when he was in Timbuktu. He ventured after filming Rain of Fire. Remember that movie? And he waded unwisely into a heated discussion, but emerged with a pearl of great price. Don't try and win every argument. Try genuinely to understand the other side's point of view. That is such brilliance. It is such, and I for me, I fall in that all the time of sometimes I do try to always sort of get in and win the argument. Instead, listen, try to understand, what are they fighting about? What can I learn from what they're fighting about? How do I take that in to change or help better an argument or conversation rather to meet us in the middle? That's the goal. So bravo, Matthew McConaughey. Check out Greenlights if you want. If you're inspired like I was after hearing all this and hearing his clips, man, he needs to start his own show. There's rumors he wants to get into politics. We'll see what happens. But Matthew, man, good stuff. Love hearing your voice. Loving hearing your way. And thank you for being someone in Hollywood who's open to different ideas and speaking genuinely. So rare in this town. So bravo to him. Tell me what you guys think. Hit me up on social media if you got a story you want me to cover, anything else you got out there. In the meanwhile, if you haven't already subbed to this channel, why not hit that subscribe button? Show some positivity here. The green light right there to smash the like button, leave a comment, and help support this channel and any other creators you like. Go support the best way you can. In fact, if you want to keep supporting, go click on this video to the left, my new channel, Hugging the Cactus. Going to have a lot more conversations like the one Matthew and Russell had, as well as a lot more, so click that box on the left. Thank you so much for watching.